You're listening to The Novice Experience, a podcast that explores the opportunities and challenges commonly encountered by students and young people. I'm Calvin Chan, and chatting with my guests, I'm going to take a deep dive into their meaningful stories, the lessons they've learned, and how they can inspire others. Let's get going. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of The Novice Experience. Today I'm so excited to have Raisa and Renai Jose of The Giving Truck. They are sisters and co-founders of the nonprofit organization. Hi Raisa and Renai, how are you?
Hi, we're good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I'm so excited that both of you joined the show. Would you like to start by giving us your origin story? So, a brief background on where you're born and raised, what are your passions, what are your interests, and maybe how you got to founding the Giving Truck.
Yeah, sure. Okay, I can start. My name is Renai Jose. I'm 16 years old. I'm siblings with my sister Raisa. She's an older sister, and we were born and raised in Vancouver, Canada. We're both very, very passionate about service, as you'll be able to listen throughout this podcast. And we're super excited to be here.
Great. I'm so excited to hear about your nonprofit and how you're helping people in our community. But before we start, I like to do a segment called "Give Me Five." It's a rapid fire style questioning period. So I have 5 questions, and I think the best way to do this is to alternate between Raisa and Renai. So I guess we'll start with Raisa. You can give, you can give a one-word answer. You can elaborate. You don't have to explain your answer. First question is describe yourself in 3 words.
Ooh, uh, empathetic, interesting, and happy.
Awesome. Renai, what is your favorite hobby?
My favorite hobby has to be being in the kitchen. I love cooking. I love learning new recipes with my mom. I love baking. I love all things that have to do with food.
Nice. Nice. What's your favorite dish to cook?
I actually have mastered the art of making Filipino spring rolls called lumpia rolls. So,
Yum,
yeah, I've
yeah.
made my own little business with that too. So,
Oh, really?
yeah.
What is that business called?
It's kind of a spin-off of like the Willy Wonka Oompa Loompas, so I called it Oompa Lumpia. So,
Or- That's
yeah.
awesome. Raisa, what is your favorite genre of music?
Ooh, that's a hard one. I consider myself an eclectic, so I like all types of music, but right now, currently, I'm really into Broadway music.
Nice. What's your favorite musical?
um, a classic, but Wicked is my favorite right
Nice.
now.
Yeah, that one is the popular one, but I've yet to seen that one.
hmm It's really
Obviously, the
good.
most recent one is Hamilton on
Yes, Hamilton.
Disney Plus.
Yes, oh, yes, that
I
is
love Hamilton.
so good.
Renai, when are you the most productive?
When am I the most productive? Ooh.
Hmm.
I think I'm definitely most productive in the morning. I get very sleepy once the sun goes down, so I think I'm very much the early bird.
Great. I think I'm more of a night owl person though, so
Same with my sister.
yeah.
Yes, yes.
And last one, back to you, Raisa. This is more related to our episode today, but what's your favorite thing about our community here in Vancouver?
I think with the Vancouver community, I really see the passion that people have with volunteering. Like you can even see it in the government and how much they want to help
Hmm.
with the marginalized, and especially during this pandemic. So I really give kudos to everyone who's stepping up and doing great work. Especially in the downtown east side, it's really heartwarming to see all the good work that people have come up with and have been doing during this time.
Yeah, and speaking of which, your organization, the Giving Truck, is a nonprofit that aims to tap on the youth to provide help and support for populations who are experiencing homelessness or marginalization in the Vancouver Lower Mainland area. And now the organization is unique because you wanted to spread love and kindness not in one area, but the idea is you can go to places where it can be reached by a mode of transportation. So that's why you called it the giving truck, because you have a vehicle that actually goes around to different cities and you hand out materials like food, clothing, cards, toys, and then you have other services to help people in our community. So, did you want to just quickly introduce the Giving Truck in your own words?
So yes, we are the founders of the Giving Truck, and it's our youth-based nonprofit organization where our vehicle, like you mentioned, the Giving Truck, roams around the Lower Mainland doing random acts of kindness. And we believe that youth today have the passion, the drive, and the courage to ultimately do great things. So we host events every month centered around different volunteer work that youth can do. So events that we've done in the past include spa days for the women at Union Gospel Mission, our monthly food
Hmm.
program at the men's hostel, singing at a senior's home for Valentine's Day, Remembrance Day activities, shoreline cleanups, and lots more. Um, and I guess to add on to the vehicle part, the Giving Truck is indeed a truck. We come from a very big family. There's about 20 of us, and our family routine is that we spend each weekend together. Unfortunately, not now, though, of course. But the truck is
Hmm.
our personal van that we use for family outings and road trips. But now we were able to transport our volunteers and our material donations with it as well.
Wow, I really like the meaning behind that, right? It was a truck where you're spending time with people that you love and people that means a lot to you. But now it's the same vehicle that you're spreading that love and kindness in our community. I really like the meaning behind your organization and obviously the vehicle. Could you take us through how you started it? I know that both of you were in school at the time, and how did this idea come to be, and what kind of planning did you have to put in to get it all started?
Yeah, so I can take this one. So this was actually a legacy project that students were tasked to create in the leadership program that I was a part of. And we had different students created a mental health awareness week or a yoga class. And I decided to create a nonprofit organization to encompass all the different things, all the different sectors that I wanted to help out with. And Renee helped me through the whole process, brainstorming, going through all the ideas, figuring out if this would all work out. And yeah, we just come from a background of service, and we just wanted to be an outlet for the youth to find simple ways to serve in their communities. And we started this back in 2018 when Renee was actually in grade 9 and I was in my first year of university. And the whole reason why we made this was because we wanted to be the bridge between these big organizations and the youth of today. And we want to connect youth. So being able to see the youth of today enjoy service makes us realize that at the end of the day, our service is worth it. And
Hmm.
yeah, we just live in a world where it's pretty narrow minded. So we were worried that the future will bring us
Yeah.
what the future will bring us, but sometimes it's worth it. So just to be able to stop and help someone means a lot. And um, yeah, and just to recognize that there are people who are oppressed, marginalized, and needy. So just stepping back from our busy, fast paced lives and realize that there's no small act of kindness.
I think you mentioned something that was really accurate, is that you might be experiencing, pushback, or um, people who may be disagreeing with what you're doing. And, just like starting a company, there's like roadblocks along the way. So, were there any moments where you feel overwhelmed, or you're feeling some self doubt? And how did you stay motivated and focused on your mission for the Giving Truck?
There was definitely lots of fear and self doubt because nobody teaches you how to run a nonprofit at school. Jumping into something like this always makes us
Mhm.
wonder, like, is it good enough? Will it really impact people? Because we're so young, would people take us very seriously? But at the end of the day, we remind ourselves of why we started in the first place. We started because we wanted to simply spread random acts of kindness in our communities. As long as we impact at least one person, whether it be the person we're helping or a volunteer themselves, then we know that we must continue to stay focused on our mission. There's so many
Hmm.
individuals that need help. We've never felt like there's any reason enough for us to stop. And wherever we go, there's so many people who are looking for like a better day. Through I guess all our various events, we meet and encounter new individuals who have touched us so deeply. So we just want to continue that message.
Hmm. What were some of the greatest challenges?
Yeah, so for us, it was time management, and we still live our lives with school and other commitments. So once in a while, we're asked to do like a talk or podcast like this by peers or different organizations, and it's just always a pleasure to take part in these activities where we can still put a smile on other people's faces and that's what we really need right now with all the
Hmm.
uncertainties happening right now and we can just give people a reason to smile, most especially the people that we help in the process. Another thing was the restrictions of this pandemic because we make sure to follow the rules and regulations and we take pride in keeping our volunteers safe. So just transitioning from in-person events with all our volunteers being together to virtual activities or volunteer opportunities that could be done safely at home.
Hmm. Yeah, I think COVID-19 has really transformed the way we interact with each other. And for an organization like you, where you're so focused on that human connection, you had to adapt really quickly, and it really shows through your events that you were on your feet and you were thinking quick and really adapting to the situation. So I applaud you for that. How have you grown from overcoming these challenges? You mentioned time management and you were still in school. You had to, balance your volunteerism and academics. How did you stay focused and how have you grown as a student in running the giving truck on the side outside of school?
I think it really just came from experience and just learning how to manage our time between between the giving truck and with our work. What was so great with the work that I do is that it works harmoniously with the work that we're doing with the giving truck. So I do work in the development and alumni relations department, so that helps me maintain the relationships that I have with stakeholders and organizations. And then with my sister, she was able to learn um, through school and everything, some different skills and just being able to balance that with her schedule. And it's just been amazing, like seeing how much we've grown and not only in our skills, but also like in our volunteer base with the support and also sharing our story in podcasts like these.
Yeah, and you Raisa, you mentioned that you come from a family who's really passionate about service and helping others in the community. But I wanted to know why volunteerism and advocacy is so important to you personally. Um, why does it inspire you and drive your work in the giving truck?
Yeah, so for me personally, um, well, for both Renee and I, as women,
Hmm.
we really look up to Mother Teresa.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just admire her simple ways, yet tremendous acts of service, and we always reflect on her famous quote: "Not all of us can do great things, but we can do small things with great love."
That's awesome. I think, sometimes we're so busy in our own lives, whether we're at school or work, that we stop connecting with people in our community. We stop listening and we stop getting involved. And especially with COVID-19, we're all at home and we're all working virtually. We're not getting that human connection, and I find that for me personally, volunteerism means um, going back to my values and what I think is important in my life, and that's really connecting with people and having a conversation and learning about their background and getting a different perspective is also important to me. So um, definitely, I think. Having the giving truck and the meaning behind it, where you're going around to different areas and you're connecting with people now virtually, is such important work. And it really reminds all of us that we have to step out of our comfort zone sometimes and really be involved and be of service to others. Um, you mentioned earlier that part of the job in running a nonprofit organization is to, communicate and talk with others. I was wondering how you manage your relationships with stakeholders. Obviously, there's a term called peers, where it's like other organizations in the community that may have aligned missions. There's volunteers and the people you help, and maybe there's donors. Um, how do you manage these relationships, and how do you maintain their buy-in for your cause?
So we every time we have an event, we make sure to send a thank you letter. It's very important to do so, and just providing
Hmm.
receipts and photos just to reassure the donors that their donation was used accordingly. And yeah, just acknowledging if they would like their photos to be shared on social media. That way, we're able to inspire our volunteers. And we're just very transparent with our stakeholders. We let them know how the event went or any comments made. And it just really encourages them to maintain this relationship and to continue supporting us with our future events. And with other organizations, like you said, with the peers, it's just amazing to see the shared goals that we have and just continuing to support each other in taking part in conferences such as the Ignite the Warmth event that we had recently, and just valuing that relationship because it's important to work together.
Hmm. Did connecting with people come to you naturally? I know some people who might be more introverted, they get afraid to talk to others and network and build connections, and that might hinder them from starting their own nonprofit or getting involved in volunteerism. And one thing that I was really impressed when I first met you, Raisa and Renee, is that both of you were so eloquent and confident in voicing and advocating for what you believe in and explaining, the purpose and the mission behind the Giving Truck. Did this ever come naturally to you? And or if it didn't, like, how did you work on it, and how did you use it to your advantage when you were building your organization?
I think I can answer this one. I think it's a bit of both in a way.
Hmm.
I know my sister touched on this just a little bit, but when we were growing up, we were part of a lot of fundraising musicals. We were always exposed to volunteering, and we were always performing in them. My family was directing them, so it
Yeah.
was a great experience for us to learn new skills and put our talents to something else as well. But I guess with everything, we're still very young. We're always continuously learning how to be better speakers, how to be better communicators, how to talk to different people, maintain relationships, like my sister mentioned. So I would say it's a bit of both. We're still continuously learning, and we hope to improve in as many aspects of this mission as possible.
I'm gonna go on a bit of a tangent here, but I want to learn more about your musicals and fundraisers. Can you tell us more about that and what it's all about?
Yeah. So my family, as we mentioned, is a very big family.
Yeah.
We all love performing. We all love singing, dancing, and doing everything. So we thought, why not use that um, for another purpose? So we created these fundraising musicals. One of the bigger ones that have we've been performing at the Bell Theater, River Rock theater as well. We started this thing called Right Here, Right Now, and it
Hmm.
was a way for us to raise funds for people overseas. We collaborated with other organizations such as ANCOP, Answering the Cry of the Poor, um, in helping people overseas build homes, just maintain a better life in those third world countries.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for all your service, to people in different communities. That's so awesome to hear. Your family doing the work and the important work in our world. And I was just wondering too. Um, I was just thinking back to when I was going through school. Um, volunteerism and advocacy wasn't really something that was taught. It was always like, oh, you need to complete X amount of hours of volunteering in the community. And, whenever I was helping out at, my local community center, it was like, oh, I'm counting the hours. Like, oh, I need I'm 5 hours away from meeting the threshold and stuff. Like it felt really structured and forced in a way. But it seems like it's part of your life and it's part of your family culture. Um, what do you say to people and young people nowadays, especially, and in our education system, volunteering isn't um, it's imposed, right? It's not taught in school in a way. Like, what do you say to those people? How do you draw them into um, be of service to our community, just like your family?
I think what's great about service and what's great about youth in general is that um, with the Giving Track especially, we're able to share all our stories through our social media platforms. And that's a great way to connect with the youth.
Yeah.
We're able to post what the volunteers thought. We're able to post the fun events that we do. I think it's a great way to connect to all these people because we want to show people that service isn't a chore. It's something that's really fun. It's something that it's hard to even explain to someone how great it is. It's a feeling that you actually have to experience when you're able to
Mhm.
see someone you directly helped. Where that's why the Giving Truck is so focused on sharing our mission of kindness with as many people as possible. We want to share that gratifying feeling with as many people. And I think even at my high school, I hear a lot of girls who are always saying, um, I need to get volunteer hours, but I'm actually really interested in it. So it's always in a positive light. I feel from where I see it, people are always looking for ways to be a good member of their community. And I think it's all coming from a good place in their heart as well.
That's awesome. I really like your answer, and I totally agree with it. Like, I was looking at some of the events that the Giving Truck is doing or has done before, and it all looks like it's so fun. Sometimes it's just as simple as spending time together and having fun, getting to know each other, and that's all. That's all about the relationship and the connection part of volunteering that I personally really cherish, and definitely something that. Drawn me to your organization when we met at a virtual workshop um, was that like I really saw your passion and how fun it was to be part of your organization and what your brand meant in our community. So um, yeah, I totally agree with that aspect.
I think just to also add on to that,
Hmm.
um, through volunteering, like I mentioned, there's this gratifying experience, but also there's a sense of camaraderie between the
Yeah.
volunteers.
Hmm.
You sign up for an event not knowing anybody, and then at the end of the day, you're talking to each other, finding ways to do more volunteer events together. I think it's just a great way to see people from all over the Lower Mainland, all over BC, just being able to have that initiative and have that sense of community. They're building a community in itself, which is such a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah, totally agree. I think like part of why I like volunteering is that I'm working with people that I may not have met before. But what's amazing is that we're all bonded by our common mission, and that's what feels great about it. It brings me outside of like what I know, like at school, the people that I know at school or at work. Right, I'm working with people that I haven't met before, and that's a really cool feeling and definitely a sense of satisfaction from volunteering like that. I just want to pivot really quickly to COVID-19. I mean, we've mentioned the pandemic a few times now, but I wanted to learn more about how it has impacted the most marginalized groups of our community, and how has the Giving Truck responded to the pandemic?
So I can take this one. Um, the marginalized are the most affected because of COVID-19 because of on top of the regular COVID restrictions, the facilities that they deal with have a limit on how many people can access the services. So, for example, the men's hostel, we support them. We distribute more meals every month there, but we learned that they had to limit their numbers of how many men were staying overnight because obviously they didn't want to have multiple people coming in, different people coming in each time because there may be cross contamination, and and they had to have the beds spaced out a certain amount. So not the same amount of people who stayed at the men's hostel before prior to the pandemic couldn't stay during the pandemic, so it was less in number. And the Giving Truck has responded to the pandemic in different ways. We obviously prioritize our volunteers' safety. So we halted our in person activities ever since the pandemic hit. And we've just continued our advocacy from homes. So recently we had volunteers safely individually pack cookies for our veterans, our dear veterans, for Remembrance Day. And it was just so
Hmm.
touching when we received the photos of the residents smiling with this simple but meaningful gesture. We wanted to let them know that we remembered them and that we were thinking about them. Another thing that we did was we were tapped by an organization called the Push for Change Foundation, and they started this program called the Promise Project, where youth form teams to combat the issue of youth homelessness. And we formed a
Hmm.
team through research, and we were able to understand that one of the leading factors to youth homelessness is family conflict. So we created this toolkit of family bonding activities that families can do during the time of quarantine. And the program we started was called Care to Connect. And it was a great way to get families all together to do simple activities such as baking together, a paper airplane challenge, and more featured on our social media pages. And we
Hmm.
understand that family bonding and youth homelessness may not seem directly linked together, but our hope for this project was to get youth to be more aware of the issue, and because it is not prevalent as much in society, and we just wanted to plant a little seed to get families bonding at home. And we also provided a resource hub for youth who didn't feel safe at home, and provided resources of a number of links and phone numbers that youth can contact if they were in need of any help. And another thing that we also do is, as I said before, we serve meals at the men's hostel, and we are part of their feeding program and safely prepare the meals in a food safe kitchen and deliver it to the staff to distribute.
I'm really impressed by just the network of people that the Giving Truck is servicing, and the different ways that you're providing opportunities for volunteers to give back. I think um, I haven't seen a nonprofit that does so many different activities, but they're all so awesome and fun, and um, it's just so awesome to see how it's more than just a truck now. It's really an organization that promotes service, community, and having fun together. So yeah, like I said, it's super awesome to see how the organization has grown. We're nearing the tail end of our episode, Raisa and Renee, but I wanted to ask, just to close off, what advice would you give to a young person who wants to advocate for an issue that matters to them and potentially start a nonprofit organization, but someone who may not be as confident, who might not be as experienced or have the background in community service? What advice would you give to them to get involved and potentially be a leader in the community one day?
Yeah, similar to what my professor in my leadership course told me, he asked, "Why not start now?" And it was because of that push in that class that inspired me to take my first step in creating the Giving Truck with Renee.
I think one thing that we just urge everyone who's listening is just to start by finding out what you're passionate about. Start by reaching out to more people. Start by asking lots of questions.
Hmm.
There's nothing to lose by trying. We have loads of time to make mistakes, learn, and especially grow because of it. And if you feel strongly about something that you want to advocate for an issue, take that small step and take action to do it.
That's awesome. I love that advice. Just do it, right? I think sometimes people do too much thinking and planning, and time goes by, and there's not something that's tangible. That has progressed. So it's awesome that you got that advice early on, and now the Giving Truck is, like I said, it's not just the vehicle anymore. It's so much more than that. And yeah, thank you so much for your service and what you do for our community. Um, I know, Raisa, you already mentioned the events that you might be currently doing, but are there any upcoming events that we can look forward to, and how can we all be involved?
Yes, for sure. So we have a number of activities where youth can get involved during this season of giving. So we are partnering with Employ to Empower that provides long-term support for those experiencing homelessness in the downtown east side. And every year they actually host a street store, which is a free pop-up clothing store where people can choose the warm clothing they need instead of it being given to them. And we believe that having the safe space to do this free shopping is so important in preserving the dignity of our brothers and sisters in the downtown east side. So we're asking our volunteers to safely collect clothing donations from their households and deliver these on November 28, December 5, and December 10 from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Commercial Drive Coastal Church on Grandview Highway in Vancouver. And we know that this Christmas will look very different for everyone, but being able to provide these essential items to the street store will truly make their Christmas merry.
As we continue to welcome our refugee families to Vancouver, different organizations such as the Circle of Care and Connections Early Years Refugee Program at the Mount Pleasant Family Center is once again asking for individual care kits and assorted educational toys for the families with young children to be distributed this Christmas. So, if you are interested in helping collect toiletries, sanitary pads for the women, diapers, or new educational toys for the children, please contact us through our email, which is givingtruck@gmail.com, or contact us through our website, which is www.givingtruck.ca.
Thank you so much. I really look forward to seeing how that event turns out, and like you said, what our holidays would look like this year. Where can we find the Giving Truck on social media, and how can our listeners reach out if they have any questions or if they want to be involved?
Yeah, for sure. You can check out our Instagram, which is at the Giving Truck Official, our Facebook, which is at the Giving Truck, and Twitter at the Giving Truck as well. We also have a YouTube channel where you can view videos of our projects, and a website where we have a blog of our past projects and updates on our upcoming activities. And our website is www.givingtruck.ca.
Raisa and Renee, thank you so much for joining the Novice Experience. Your enthusiasm and your passion is really infectious, and I really look forward to participating in some of the activities that the Giving Truck is doing. And I'm really thankful that we're in the same community together, and to know that we have some great leaders here where I live. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much
for having us.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of The Novice Experience. Our theme song is Concrete Jungle by Audio Binger. You can find us or reach out on social media at The Novice Exp. That's The Novice EXP. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on all your podcast listening platforms. Talk to you next time.